Welcome to the LANCave, where we're living as nerds. I'm Patrick, joined by Owen.
Hello!
And we're here talking gaming news, video games, game development, nerdy stuff. We'll just randomly rant about things. You can always count on a good rant coming from us. But yeah, that's what we do every single week. So make sure you're subscribed and following us and just joining in on the conversation every Thursday. You know you're not doing anything. I mean, just hang out. You don't want to listen to the presidential debates that are going on tonight. Just hang out with us, talk video games, and
you don't
get
want
away
to
from
watch
politics.
this sorry New York Giants Philadelphia Eagles football game. Two of the worst teams in the NFL. I swear, Thursday night football makes me sad.
Yeah, I've actually been following slightly, and by that I mean I know I when someone says something, I recognize. And of course, I know the names of the teams and everything, but someone says, "Oh yeah, it was a terrible game last night," and I'm like, I bet they were talking about this game, and that's way more than usual for me when it comes to sports. For me, it's usually, there was a game because it was Sunday. I mean, and that's about it.
So the question is, as a Florida resident, are you going to become a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan because, they got the GOAT there now? Or if you weren't aware, Tua is going to be starting for the Miami Dolphins.
Wow.
Coming up.
I mean, I'm right next to Tampa. I mean,
there you go.
I'm just across the causeway. There's maybe a 20-minute drive, 25-minute drive, depending on where I'm trying to get in Tampa. So it's definitely closer. I'd say Tampa. It's interesting, though. There's so many Eagles fans down here. I did not expect that, but there's a lot of Eagles fans down here. Maybe it's the area that I'm in or something, but we got a lot of Buccaneers, but Eagles, obviously.
Are you near the retirement areas of Florida?
All of Florida? No.
I mean, I don't know. I learned about a community called the Villages today. That is some 125 plus thousand strong, and you have to be 55 plus to live there and a retiree.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know where that is, and we try to keep it PG on here, so I won't go into some of the details that I know about that place.
Correct. But I learned that as well.
So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm not near that. I think I want to say that's southwest Orlando-ish, if I'm not mistaken. It's not around where I am, but pretty much everywhere you go in Florida, there are transplants, whether they're retired or not. They're from the north. A lot of Canadians. There's areas
it's cold up there, man.
Yeah, it's nice. Come down here. A lot of people have houses, either vacation homes or they just moved down here. There was a place shortly after we moved down to Florida. There's a place as we were driving down, I saw the American flag, some other flag, and then the Canadian flag, and I was like, that's kind of odd, and then realized, it's because there's that much of a populace coming down. It's almost like an Irish flag being flown in an Irish neighborhood. But yeah, I think the majority of people in Florida are not from Florida, and if they're from Florida, they work at a theme park. And the ones who come down here aren't and work at the theme parks are also not. Yeah, it's a crazy state.
So I'm going to bring you up to speed real quick as a new Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. Your quarterback is Tom Brady, if you didn't know.
I knew that part.
You have some great offensive weapons in Mike Evans. For one, is an amazing receiver. You're 4-2 right now. Tampa Bay is 4-2, leading their division.
Well. I knew they were doing well. I knew Brady was hanging out here, which I think is funny because Tampa just. And I really think that maybe why we're doing so well, it's almost like a psychological boon as to why Tampa's doing so well in sports, is because, if Brady's here, well, obviously everything. We got the Stanley Cup now. I mean, I almost feel like there's the zeitgeist and the sociology around it is getting people more into it, and thus winning.
Hey man,
it's mind over matter kind of thing. I don't know.
But you know what? What else are you up to this week? Because we have 19 days until Xbox comes out. We have 21 days until PS5 comes out. What are you doing, though, in the meantime?
Man, we're 3 weeks away. It's crazy. 3 weeks away, less than 3 weeks on the Xbox. I've been preoccupying my time with, obviously, work. But other than work, trying to do things I'm not going to do as much when I get the new console. Spend a little more quality time with the old consoles.
I literally thought you were about to say with your wife.
No, thankfully I am so lucky.
Sorry, Whitney, the Series X is out. I gotta go. I'll see you in December, okay?
Thankfully she's a gamer too. So like we were talking about the games and consoles and everything. They're going in the living room. The PS4 and Xbox One X will go back here. You can see that's the PS4 mount. A little right above that's the Xbox mount. So they'll be in here. No, spending quality time with the old consoles. Not that I won't be able to play the same games, but I don't know, just spending some time with it. I almost had to force myself. I feel like there's a little bit of slump, and I had to force myself to actually play and do something. And I got into...
Before you go on, I'm going to tell you to hit record.
Oh, man. So, yeah, so I've been playing some Game Pass, because we both got Game Pass with our CD keys.
Yes, sir.
Was playing Remnant. I almost had picked up. I didn't pick it up because it's part of Game Pass. Remnant from the Ashes, which is
You hit the download button?
The download. I got it for free. I still loved Whitney's reaction when I showed her Game Pass. I was like, hey, we got Game Pass now. Here you go. She's like, what is it? Are these like discounted? I'm like, no, those are all, you just download whatever you want. Like, she's like, okay, download. Yeah, so I started playing Remnant from the Ashes, which I was wanting to pick up anyways. I really enjoy it. It is not as polished as I would like in some cases, because it's
really
double A-ish. I mean, it's indie or double A. I don't know which one I would categorize it as, but I like it. I've been playing this and Mortal Shell, which are both Souls-likes. I like this more, though it is a third-person shooter Souls-like. So you do have melee involved, but there is the majority of the time I'm using like a rifle and repeat.
So is it like cover based?
It's not cover based. It's
okay.
Not cover based, though. You do get mods for your weapon, and
sure.
The mod not only mods your weapon, but it gives you, when you are switched to the weapon, it gives you abilities during that. So you could have a heal over time. You could do like fire damage with a weapon. There's different loadouts that you could do. Not only speccing your character, but speccing your equipment. It's not cover based. Most, but not all of the enemies are melee, so it gives you a little bit of advantage. But the tactics involved it's more tactical than Dark Souls, where Dark Souls is more like skill based. You have to know when to dodge. You have to know when to do these different things. And this is more like you have to understand the weakness of an enemy and then go for that weakness or time at the right. I would say it's more tactical than Dark Souls, where Dark Souls is more Twitch, like
timing,
muscle memory timing. Yeah, there's some timing involved, obviously, but a lot
because there's not a lot of like weakness based things in Dark Souls, is there? It's more like hitting. Yeah. Like, is there ever a point where you have to hit the right spots though, like on an enemy, like you gotta get behind them or something?
There are. It's more of like you can do like a backstab, or like sometimes like maybe their ankles is a weakness, but you're still going to be okay just like hacking at wherever. Sure. In this case, like there was an enemy that came at me, and he's got the mini boss, if you will. He's got these two double swords like crossing his body, and if you shoot him, he blocks it. Like he's got a lightsaber. It's like block, block, block. So you have to wait until he starts to attack to shoot, which obviously gets you vulnerable. You're vulnerable when he's doing it. So that kind of stuff where you cannot do any damage until a certain, or like you're doing fire damage and this enemy pops up and that enemy is resistant to fire damage, so it doesn't do anything at that point. So I've liked it, and it has more story than Dark Souls, more overt than Dark Souls' cryptic story. So I'm liking it. How about you? What have you been playing?
Well, I want to tell you a story first. I was getting my laptop out. I have an Asus ROG Strix. I think it's from 2016. Bought it in early 2017. Hadn't turned it on in a little while. As we know, I generally work with Macs. If you didn't know, you can guess which company I work for in that case, if you weren't aware. So I get my Asus out because I wanted to do some self work. I don't have a MacBook or anything, so I was trying to do some work in the bedroom, just chill out for the evening. And I'm doing some research on a thing that I'm about to start studying. And Windows is like, "Hey, there's some updates available," and I was like, "Sure, Windows, I will update." I'm an updater kind of guy. I like updating my devices. I like the most up to date thing, and then it goes through, lets me know that it's waiting and it's waiting and it's waiting and then oh, it's waiting, and then all of a sudden it reboots. I'm like, okay, cool, can get back to my day, and then I get a little blue screen on my laptop, and it lets me know that I can't boot the computer. And it takes me to a recovery center, and it's like, "Would you like me to try and repair?" And I'm like, "Yes, obviously, computer. I would like you to try and repair." And I'm unable to repair. And I then discover that it's really hard to make a bootable installer on a Mac. Who knew? I have some thoughts on that where I don't understand why I can't just download an installer on any type of OS. Like, I get it, why it should, why you prefer to be nice to your specific ecosystem customers, but it didn't make any sense to me that I can't just download an installer and unpack it into a USB drive. You can't do that on Mac. Just to let you know.
Earlier this year with this desktop where the hard drive went bad, and actually I'm going to talk more about that later in this episode. By the way, if we could geek out even more about hard drive space and everything, but yeah, I used my laptop, and yeah, it was like download a file that then runs a program to create the installer off a formatted USB, that kind of crap. And so do you don't have a spare PC? Or the only other thing I could think of is, can you borrow the wife's computer?
So I'm going to try that. That's probably what I'm going to try after the podcast tonight, because I got a little frustrated. In the meantime, though, I've already picked out the laptop that I'm going to buy if I can't do it. Got my eye on an Asus Zephyrus G14 that's on sale at Best Buy right now, so I'm already prepared. But I've tried once. I didn't. I tried to do the installer through command prompt. It's called Terminal on the Mac, but through command prompt, and that I didn't do it right. So failed there. So we're gonna try again and see what happens. And if I then fail, that will be the extent of the work that I would like to do. I don't really feel like taking it to like a Geek Squad or something right now. Yeah. So after all of that, then I picked up my handy, my pretty, my great Vita, and I decided I'm gonna play a little Sly Cooper.
Dude, that's an awesome. Yeah, I saw you list that to break the magic of the show. We do list out to make sure we can stay on top of things. I saw you list that out, and that's a really good game, a really good series that does not get enough love. Sly Cooper's really good.
Confession.
Yeah.
Never played a Sly Cooper before.
What do you think? So never playing it.
It's fun. I like it. It's quirky. So I'm playing Thieves in Time, which I think is either the third or the fourth one. It was on PS3 and Vita crossplay. So I'm playing it on Vita, obviously, as I just showed you. I like that it's all voice acted. I think the art style for being like on a Vita, it looks actually really good, surprisingly. I just got past the intro level, like kind of the tutorial, like here's how you jump and attack and here's everybody. And so I'm about to, I traveled back in time to the first area, which I think was like feudal Japan or something like that. And then I stopped for the evening. But I'm liking it. I'm digging it. It's chill. It's got a great, again, a great art style to it that I immediately, as soon as I got to the title screen, I was like, why did they abandon this franchise? Because this is a Sony-owned IP. I understand that. Who did Sly Cooper before? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Who developed Sly Cooper?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sucker Punch?
It was Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. Yeah. So I understand taking it away from Sucker Punch because they've been working on other things like Infamous and Now the great, like I'm hearing nothing but good things about the new DLC for Ghost of Tsushima. I'm wondering if you're going to check that out at
I'm
all.
gonna have to check it out. Like, I haven't played Ghost in a while. It's a really good game. Like, there's so many good games out that I started playing another good game. Ghost is great. Ghost is an amazing game, and I think I'm definitely gonna have to check it out now that I'm seeing the stuff about the new updates and everything. Really good.
Yeah, so I see taking away from Sucker Punch, but there's got to be some small team at like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like who could do this, and I actually posted an article for us to go over, but either next week or the week after, if you saw it, for what every first party studio of Sony and Xbox is up to. So maybe we can decide then who should bring back Sly Cooper then, but I'm digging it. It's fun. I've been complaining for the last few weeks that I'm in a lull. I have Ghost sitting on my PS4, but since they announced actually this last week or two that it's going to run in boost mode at 60 frames and stuff on PS5, and so I'm now just waiting. I'm just going to play it on PS5 for the first time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it looks beautiful anyways, but man, on PS5 it's going to be great.
Exactly. So I picked up the Vita. I have a bunch of stuff downloaded on there, which I don't know if the update's taken place yet, because I haven't looked, but if you do have a Vita or a PS3 and you want an easier way of downloading your games, you should probably go to store.playstation.com and do that now. Because soon the only way, as I think we mentioned before, the only way you're going to be able to access that is on the device specifically. Yep. And the Vita store sucks.
It's terrible.
It's awful.
The PS3 store is pretty bad, but the Vita store is even worse. I think I only accessed it like twice when I had a Vita. Like everything else, I just went onto the store on the browser and just downloaded whatever I wanted. It just made more sense. It was easier to navigate. It was quicker. Yeah. So
that's my week in a nutshell. Just work, crashing a laptop, playing some Vita, trying not to throw the laptop out the window.
Yeah, well,
and here we are on Thursday.
I have a spare. I have a spare hard drive you could use if you needed, if that was the issue, and you need. But at the same time, like by the time I ship it to you, and it's like it'd be a bit. So. Unfortunately,
I got these tiny. You may have heard of them. So they're like these little pieces of plastic. They're about yay big, and you go to a store. You just swipe. Yeah, I do appreciate the offer, but if it is the hard drives though, like I'm willing to buy a new hard drive. I do have an NVMe in there right now, and I would just get another one. But it just comes down to that value proposition where if I'm going to buy a $150 hard drive. What on a computer that is 4 years old?
Yeah.
On a laptop, by the way. So if we were talking about a desktop, we're in a totally different ballpark because I can upgrade parts. Literally, the only things you can change out in this laptop are the hard drives, and I think I could add a RAM stick.
Yeah.
If I wanted to. I think that when it comes to PCs, they're a lot more justifiable in saying like, okay, I'm going to replace this individual part because later on the line I can just upgrade the video card, or I can upgrade the processor in some cases, or the motherboard, and kind of keep my parts going, whereas the laptop definitely just stops. It's never going to get a better graphics card, it's never going to get a better processor.
Like with my hard drive, or like I've upgraded a few things in this PC. I got mine, I think it was around 2016 as well. I am considering getting a new one. I was saying Christmas, it's probably going to be April instead, but I'm considering building a PC. I can wait because it's still working, but I'm considering building one and looking at that to say I'm going to part it out to future-proof. I'm not buying something to break the bank, but I want to part it out so I can make sure that I have room to grow, so that 4 years afterwards, I'm not having the same situation of saying, it's not that great. Majority of work that I do on it's more video rendering stuff. I do play video games and do captures through it, but it's a little too slow for me. So, but what is also too slow for me is the way that Kojima works, because it takes forever I did like Death Stranding, though. I am going to go back and beat Death Stranding because I feel like I should do that. That was the game Whitney and I were going to play together, and then we didn't. So I kept waiting. So I didn't get as far. But Kojima has announced that their studios are now hiring, and looks like an RPG is what they're hiring for. I've seen a lot of outpouring, which, I mean, I guess it doesn't surprise me. They put this on Twitter, but a lot of responses that were like, "Hey, I'd love to work for you," and then it was like a promo reel, like of stuff that the person has done, and I thought that was really cool. Like on Twitter, people, of course, they could send in the resumes and everything, but I thought it was cool. People like replying, and they're like, "It'd be an honor to work with you. This is my specialty," and then you see a video. And it's their like work that they've done at another studio or their work done personally. I'm like, that's so cool.
Was Kojima responding to anybody?
I didn't see.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
That'd be cool.
That would be amazing. I mean, being hired obviously would be great.
I think you should give Kojima a little credit, though. You know, Death Stranding, he literally formed a new production company in 2015 is when he split with Konami, and the game came out in 2019. I
thought he spent 5 years on it. I mean, it's not that bad, I guess.
I mean, I think it's 4, and then it came out. It got republished to PC this year. I think a 4-year dev cycle for Kojima is pretty solid, dude. And if he's
actually, you're right. My bad. Yeah, I thought it was 2014, but yeah, you're right. It's 2015.
It makes me wonder if Konami was the problem.
Man, it could be. I mean, look at what Konami's been doing lately.
Nothing.
Nothing. Pachinko machines.
Yeah,
baby. That's about it.
Somebody buy that IP. Somebody buy it. I want a new 3D Castlevania.
Yeah. It may be the problem. By the way, the Castlevania games on you said new 3D Castlevania games. The ones do Castlevania.
The 64 one's not bad. Okay.
I wasn't going to say the 64 one was bad. I was thinking about the one that was on Xbox 360, Castlevania. I really, really liked that. But yeah, it could be. Maybe Konami was the problem the whole time because he was trying to work on Silent Hills. That fell through. Death Stranding was relatively quick. Maybe he needs a short development cycle to just pour all of his creativity into something and move on to something else. Maybe that's what he needs.
I think you also got to let Kojima be Kojima.
Yeah.
I think this is a clear sign that, like, if he has full creative control to do whatever he wants to do, because, I mean, if you think about Metal Gear Solid, there's a lot of expectations riding on that series, and, I'm not sure, I don't know enough about the lore behind the development of Metal Gear Solid to know how much his heart was still in that series by the time he got to 5. You can still tell that the dev is there. You can still tell that the love is there when you see how well the game runs and how good it looks and all that stuff. But at the same time, I wonder if he wanted to keep making that series or not.
I think he said Metal Gear Solid 3, he was like, this is going to be the last Metal Gear. And then they did another, because they did Metal Gear Solid 3. They did like some their games that were like, was it Rising, Revengeance, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So I think they did 4 games where he was like, this is going to be the last one. He kept saying that. So I definitely think he was ready to move on. He was ready to do what he wanted to do. And they went back to him and said, no, we need more Metal Gear. And the lore is deep enough that, yeah, you need to have someone who understands it. And if a game comes out and it's not attached to the same, with the same love, I think the fans see it really easy. They smell it and they're like, this isn't genuine. So yeah, maybe that's what they needed with him.
I'm excited that he has the potential to be working on an RPG. That excites me as a non-Kojima fan if he's working on an RPG because there was a specific call in there for desired experience with event control systems in RPG. So maybe we're making a third-person ARPG. Maybe that's in there. But I know this is going to be sad for you horror fans. He is not working on a new Silent Hill. I know that's a bummer. I know there's a ton of people that want that franchise to come back. I'm pretty sure Patrick is one of them. But he's not working on that.
I was more of a Resident Evil fan, but yes, I liked Silent Hill. I always felt like Resident Evil, I don't know. Like I liked the story of Resident Evil better. Silent Hills is definitely
Sure.
scarier.
Okay.
But I like the story better in Resident Evil, which is why I gravitated towards it more. And it is sad that we're not going to get it. Yeah, but oh well. Could be worse. Could be worse. Speaking of things that are sad, no segue on this. I don't know. No, I'm not sad about this. AOC number 3 on Twitch, streaming Among Us. Which, by the way, I absolutely love that she streamed this game. It shows her age and like her and definitely the demographic that she's trying to go after, because she's like, I'm not going to be able to win over certain other demographics. Let me win over the young people, who are around her age. Yeah, and she's also funny. No matter how you feel about her from a politics standpoint, I like how she does at least put her heart into things like this.
Sure.
And yeah, I thought it was really cool, and also to do this for a couple hours, like uncensored. Most politicians would be scared out of their minds to do something like that and feel like everything that they say is going to be scrutinized. Not that what she said is not going to be scrutinized, or there's not going to make gifts out of it, whatever she's doing. But I feel like that takes some guts that a lot of politicians are like too afraid to do nowadays. So.
Yeah, and she did it with a pretty star-studded cast. For people who don't watch Twitch, like she streamed with Myth, she streamed with Toast, she streamed with Pokimane, Dr. Lupo. I don't know who Hasanabi is, and then she streamed with another. Is Ilhan a senator or a congresswoman?
I don't know. I feel like
she's a very prominent woman, and I feel bad that I don't know where it's Ilhan Omar. She's a representative, so she's a congresswoman in Minnesota.
I recognize her now that I'm seeing. Yeah.
So she was playing with her as well, so that was cool. They did keep it completely nonpartisan, just as we do on this podcast. We're not telling you who to vote for or anything like that. I am going to say, please go vote. Okay. Do your civicness, and that is about the extent of the politics. But to literally, this is her first and only stream. She was quote unquote partnered. I don't think she's going to take any money from it, but she was a partner on Twitch without ever having streamed before, and she peaked over 400,000 viewers, which made her the third highest peak stream of all time. Single stream, that is, on Twitch. So cool for her. They kept it clean. They did some cool things if you didn't watch it, where they talked to like, I think Pokimane's from Canada, and she talked to her about like how the votes work there. She talked to one of the guys, I think was from England, and they kind of talked about healthcare and how it works there, and just kind of they kept it as open to all as possible, but kind of having that discussion while playing a game. I finally, somebody had to point it out to me. I'm like, why is she playing Among Us? Like, you kill people in that. Like, I thought that they were saying something maybe about the presidency, but actually it's because on the game you vote who gets thrown out of the ship. Yes. And I was like,
yep. By the way, I just popped up in the video. That's Ilhan Omar's gaming rig.
Yeah, I think she got hooked up by NZXT.
So like, and that's the other thing that like, and I don't know AOC enough to know, like, does she game often? Like, I don't, like you said, this is the first and only time she's done streaming. Not to say she doesn't stream, like, game on her own.
She plays LOL.
Okay.
Apparently she plays League of Legends, so I was like, all right, well, she's more hardcore than I'm ever going to be.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, that's cool. Like, when I see that, I'm like, wow, that's way more legit than I thought. Like, seeing that gaming rig, that's a better gaming rig than I have. I mean, or it looks cooler. Right. I mean, it looks cooler.
I bet she has a Windows installer.
I bet. I guess this is just a PSA to create that Windows installer USB disk, thumb drive, and then like put it away and just leave it somewhere for a rainy day when your hard drive goes bad, and then you're good to go. Oh man, that sucks. I mean, because you can cloud backups are great and everything, but you can't get to the cloud. You can't open up your operating system. So I thought this was a pretty cool story though. and we were talking earlier, and again, no segue. We were talking earlier. We were talking about storage and hard drives going bad. I was just talking about it too. One of the aspects of the next gen is the hard drives. We're talking these SSDs. Yeah, the SSDs that are used in there, and the speed, but also like transfer speeds. So because it's a smaller hard drive, we're talking 825 for the PS5. I think someone said, I think that's 620 usable gigs. I think is what they found out. So
And 802 on the Series X.
802 on the Series X. So you don't have that much space. So there's quite a lot of info now on, like, using using USB third party, sorry, external USB hard drive. Excuse me, had some audio going on there, but using a USB 3.0 hard drive plugged into the Xbox or the PlayStation 5, and there were some tests that went on. Let's think. Did I get that up in front of this? I did not. I thought I did.
It's okay. So I want, before we go over the tests, I want to tell people a little bit about their options here. So you get your internal storage on your Series X, which is a 1 terabyte hard drive, or like we just said, 803 usable gigabytes. The Series S is going to be smaller. It has a 512 drive in it, and I'm gonna guess that means you can probably use somewhere around 400 gigs. We'll see. Then after that, your options are a 1 terabyte Seagate specially made, or what we like to refer to as dumb around here in terms of its proprietary storage, but they're not calling it a storage, they're calling it an expansion card.
Yes.
There is a slot in both the Series X and the Series S for this, and then after that you have the option of using external hard drives. However, the only way to run a Xbox Series X or Series S game is off of either the expansion card or the internal drive. You can run Xbox One and down games off of a regular external hard drive. However, you have to transfer any series games that you put on that portable hard drive back to the Xbox before you can play it. So I just want to be very clear again, on the external hard drives, Xbox One and below can be played off of it. Xbox Series can only be played off internal and expansion card, and that's a little confusing. But what I wanted to include with this was that they published some transfer numbers. We don't have anything PS5 related, by the way, because nobody has them, at least that we know of. So some people have been doing some tests on the series.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that, as I sped through things that I shouldn't have sped through on that, as I tend to do. So we got some, I'm going to kind of obscure our heads just slightly here as we talk about the transfer speeds. So this is the transfer speed. Hold on, where is it? Yeah, data transfer speeds as well as load time. So you can see that SSD is immense when it comes to the NVMe solid state drives on this are.
This is an external SSD.
I thought the first one was the internal. Is it not? Yeah, internal. Oh, sorry, internal or
transfers.
Yeah, sorry, the bottom. Sorry, the load times. Yeah, so on the top here we have the transfers. So if you are transferring to and from the internal storage to a external drive, which I don't have any external solid state drives. And honestly, for the most part, I have not seen a reason to use it because I've not used it at this capacity. I've not used it like a power user. It's an external drive I just throw stuff on. That's all it is. 3.0, it's fast enough for me. But the transfer speeds you can see in here. So the Western Digital passports on the bottom there, or middle screen you see here. So we're talking about transfer speeds from internal to internal for 12. We'll call it ballpark 12 to 14 seconds for Final Fantasy.
That's minutes.
It was minutes. I don't know why I said seconds. 12 to 14 minutes, which is relatively long. That's kind of what we're used to with the current gen when you're trying to download something or transfer, and you can see the transfer. We're using a solid state. We're talking 3 to 5 minutes, depending on what it is. In smaller games, as you see, Outer Worlds on there, 2 to 3 minutes, around 7 minutes for Outer Worlds on the old school. This makes me want to get a solid state external to use. I mean, especially if I'm
Yes,
going to
sir.
run games off of it, because
So
I'm
I
going
want
to be
to
playing those Xbox One games on my Xbox Series X. So yeah.
So I want to point everybody to a couple things right now. The Black Friday sales are going out right now, and some of them have even started. This Samsung Tier 5 SSD, if you're looking at the video, but it's what we're showing. So this is a 3.1 drive that's USB-C drive that has a transfer time. So it transferred an 85 gigabyte game. It transferred from internal. Or from internal in 550, transferred back to internal in 356. They played the game though off of that same USB 3.1. They played the game. It loaded in 15 seconds on the Series X. Beautiful for Final Fantasy 15. Very similar load times for the Outer World, which is the other game that they tested. You can get this drive on sale at Best Buy right now. I'm not sure how long the sales last, but they have an extended return period. It's actually where I'm looking at getting my new laptop right now. But I believe you can get this 1 terabyte SSD drive for $100 right now. For reference, the Seagate expansion card, I believe, is 200.
So yeah, I just checked Amazon's 129 if you want to get that at Amazon. Going up to Best Buy 129 for the 1 terabyte is what I'm seeing for the T5.
Okay, and then the Seagate storage thing, just so we're referencing against that, is $219.99 right now. Then if you're willing to wait a little bit longer with the HDD, you can get Passport hard drives for nothing. I think you can get a Western Digital, which is what they were using here. I think you can get a 1 terabyte for like $50 or $60. You can get a 2 terabyte for $80. Now the load time, they did test that, and that's on USB 3.0, still under a minute for Final Fantasy 15, 52 seconds if you're playing and this is if you're playing the game straight from the hard drive. Still pretty great. If you're looking at storing your Series X games though, that's where your transfer does go up. Now, when I'm saying a lot, it's faster than downloading it, if depending on your internet connection. You could have an awesome internet connection. Sure. If you can download an 84 gigabyte game in 14 minutes and 24 seconds, whatever, good for you. Then you don't need to buy these drives. You can just delete games off your hard drive at will, download them whenever you want to play them. Good job, bud. But for everybody else who doesn't have internet like that, 1424 is really not that terrible. So if you don't have the money to throw at some of these 3.1 SSDs, then I'm saying you're doing okay as long as you're getting USB 3.0. That's the thing to look for. USB 3.0 hard drives, or if you're going to go with the SSD, just go ahead and bump it up to USB-C. Like, just get it. You're future-proofing yourself. USB-C is the future.
USB, it totally is. And that's
it's even the present.
It is the present, in my opinion.
Sorry, I went on a long rant there, but I want to make it very clear.
I wanted that because you went on a rant. I'm going to go on a rant too. We tag team this. So, because this is important information, as deep dive geek stuff as we're doing right now, it's really important that you understand this, especially that, and this is where it is important to me. The hard drives, or I shouldn't even say hard drives, the solid state drives in the Xbox and the PlayStation. Bring up that where's that teardown video? Those drives are that's not even it. Those drives are connected to the board. You can't replace them in a fashion that you could in the current gen. I have replaced every hard drive on my consoles except for the Xbox One X because they went bad at one point. These aren't going to go bad as quick because they're NVMe. I don't even actually. I don't know if technically these are NVMe for the solid state that are NVMe for the external. I don't know what the term is for the. I honestly can't remember the term for the ones that are integrated into the board.
They're calling it a custom NVMe.
Okay, so custom NVMe,
and it's soldered into the board though.
Yeah, exactly, and that's really what the takeaway is here. Is if you have one of those go bad, and there it's Boop, I'm pretty sure. No, that's the RAM. Anyways, the like with the PlayStation, it has 3 of those and then a control chip. So it's like, okay, if something goes bad with the hard drive, what do I do now? Now
Cry.
cry, yeah. So they're in comparison, it's not 1-to-1. It's not completely the same, but there is. Boop. There's some stats, tiny text, but there's some stats on like an NVMe drive and how. I'm just going to pop this up here because this is the big stuff that we want to talk about. How many, what they guarantee how long a NVMe drive will last. And there's 2 ways that they look at that. They look at like overall like lifetime of like how long if it's powered, how long it's going to last. And we're talking about like 100 and some years. It's insane if you do the calculation. But the big thing that I wanted to point out, especially with these consoles being digital, I'm going to blow this up real quick. The big thing I want to talk about these consoles being digital is the where is it? The warranty. And this deals with the read write and how they feel comfortable in how many times you write to the disk. Every time you write to the disk, you degrade the disk. And basically the warranty, this is on a Samsung 960 EVO, I believe, NVMe solid state drive. So if you look there, you void your warranty if you write 600 terabytes to a 1 terabyte drive. So that's 600 times the total of the drive. So if you think about this like in car warranties, right, where they're like 100 miles or 10 years, this is 600 terabytes or 5 years. Whichever one hits first, you're toast. That's not terrible. I think, unless you're like me, I feel like I may blow that out. There's a chance with the amount of games that I shuffle through where I install something, play it, I don't like it, uninstall, install something else. Right. Every time you do that, you're degrading it. So that being said, I'm not going to do it immediately, but I am looking at external systems, possibly getting the NVMe external expansions, and then internal expansion for PS5 for that reason, because I plan on having my console more than 5 years. I don't know, but
I got a way around that.
Okay.
Not around it, but so with the Xbox, and I'm really hoping that they do this with the PS5. I'm not sure if you can do this with the PS4. Mm-hmm. With automatic downloads, you can specify what drive you download to. So if you get yourself a nice fancy 3.1 drive and you're like, I want to download to this, I would download to your external by default.
Yes.
Keep all your Xbox One and lower games on that drive. Don't even put those on the Series. And then the Xbox Series games, then I'm going to transfer those in and do it. I'm planning on getting that expansion card at one point. I just don't want it for $219. I want a sub. Yeah. I want. It needs to be $150 or less.
Yeah. You're right in line with what I was thinking though. Like I had to do a deep dive to talk about like the read write and everything, but the idea being, if I force it to download to an external first, I am writing to a drive that I can junk. Then it doesn't matter, right? I say it doesn't matter. $80. I got a 2 terabyte.
It does matter.
It matters, but it doesn't matter. $80. Okay, $500. This will last me. I've had that thing for quite a while, but if I use that, for example, on the Xbox Series X, and I say every game download to that, and I transfer only the Series games to the actual drive with the Series games, and play everything else off of the hard drive, that will extend it. That's kind of what I was going for. There is if I rely on the external instead of the internal. Maybe I won't get the storage at first, the NVMe card first. Maybe I'll get it a year down the road. And then I can transfer over to that instead. I don't know if we can transfer to I think you can still transfer to the external NVMe versus internal. But still prioritizing that external, so if I do burn it out, I can chuck it. Again, this is just me being me, but I download I have 2 terabyte drives on my Xbox One X and my PS4 Pro, and they're like at 70-75% usually, and I shuffle games in and out of there where I'm like, I don't want to play that now, put something else in there.
I need to backtrack something. Does the Series X not have USB-C? Is it just that it takes USB 3.1?
Are you kidding me?
Uh,
Check that while I rant. No, so, but that's one reason why I wanted to bring this up. Is because
it doesn't, dude. You have to get a 3.1. You have to get a USB-C to 3.1 cable to use that to use that particular external SSD. Oh no. So the PS5 has USB-C. I hope that anybody listening listens all the way this far. So just to be clear, the Xbox Series does not have a USB-C port, but it will take USB 3.1. So that's going to be using what's that cable called? What's the old one per USB-C? Type A.
Type A.
So it takes the Type A.
You get
So
something like this.
When you're shopping on Black Friday, look for 3.1 drives.
Yes.
And either get a Type A or get a USB-C to Type A converter. That's a bummer. I'm really sad that I messed that up, guys. Sorry about that.
That is, yeah, because USB-C for the PlayStation 5 is good. Honest, and here's the other thing. This is just me being me. If you hook up your external drive, right, your USB drive as an external hard drive, and let me know, like tweet at us, let us know in the comments, like how do you. What do you do with this? Do you just pop it in and then just like leave it on top of the console? Do you try to like have it off to the side? Is there something artful that you do on it? Because I always found that it just gets like pushed around, and I feel like it's going to like accidentally get pushed off and then like pull the console, like go, you know what I mean? Maybe it's just me being paranoid.
It's a comedy of errors right there. Yeah. I think I can't see where the ports are right now. I think as long as your cord is long enough, I think it'll probably be fine. But you could always go for the old Velcro method.
That's on it. That's what I was gonna say right here. Kid you not, Velcro, because I've been Velcroing different things. I Velcroed the power supplies of my monitors to my desk, so they're like up on my desk, so I don't have. They're not like they're not as messy on the ground. Stuff obviously is like mounted up here, but when I use, I'm probably gonna hook one of these up to the Series X. I was probably going to take one of these Velcro strips and pop it right on top, plug it in, so that way when the dogs are like, playing, or let's say your kid is, getting handsy around the electronics, that when they do that, they don't pull it or damage it by, accidentally moving something that's very light and then damaging your console. So
yeah, I actually made a spot. I secured my 4K in the living room today. Spent a little time securing it to the furniture. My furniture is not top heavy, so to make it to where I had a gate in front of it before. For those of you with children, you know all about your gates. They're so useful, and dogs too sometimes. And so I bought a new entertainment center for my PS5 and series, but to house my PS5 in a pretty fashion, and I haven't been able to look at my pretty entertainment center because there's been a gate in front of it. So I got tired of that, secured the TV, and then I secured it in such a way where there's enough room behind the television for my Series X to go. Yeah. And so my Series X will be going behind the TV, hopefully not as a deterrent for him, but as this isn't interesting. Sure. If he can't see it, it's not interesting to pull it off. So that's where I'm going to be keeping it.
Yeah.
And then, but I am, though, based on what you do, you inspired this. I am going to be buying some Velcro strips for the sound bar.
Oh,
so
okay.
That I could Velcro the sound bar so that way he can't yank the sound bar off in front of the TV.
That's a good idea. Like these, I mean, there are some that are like, man, there's some decent, like, obviously, when you're doing anything like this, Velcroing it on there, obviously you have the adhesive that can get on your electronics and everything. That can be cleaned up just carefully. But yeah,
Goo Gone, baby.
Goo Gone, and like a microfiber cloth with a razor blade on the opposite side, just like slowly, or a credit card, like an old credit card you don't care about, put it in a microfiber cloth. And anyways, it helps to secure things down like that. And yeah, if you're not going to move that thing for X amount of years, who cares? And then, when you're wiping around, it just takes a little dust can and like to get around the little corners. But
what was that,
man? little dust can, you know. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to. You're gonna waste it.
You don't
Anyway,
want to get the full. You don't want the full blat. You want just
well, if you hold it down, you get that moisture that comes out of there.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Anyways, we were going to do a countdown. Do we think we still have time to do our countdown?
I'm fine with it, man.
Okay, let's do our countdown. So we were wanted to. We're talking about the next generation. We're moving into Xbox, the ninth generation, and we wanted to say, what are some of our favorite games, the best games in our opinion of the eighth generation? That includes PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch, the Wii U, Nintendo 3DS, and Vita. Technically, are all in this generation. These are our biased views of the games that we played. We didn't put anything on here that we didn't play, and just ones that resonated with us still as we move into the ninth generation. So let us know what some of your favorite games are. If these weren't your favorite games, and you're like, "How did you miss this?" Let us know, because we probably enjoyed it. It just may have,
I'll go ahead and tell you. You can get your Witcher 3 out of here. I get it. I don't need to hear anything more about Witcher 3. Yeah. I understand it's the greatest game of all time. Blah 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 blah. But I'll let you know, Witcher 3 is not on my list. Never gonna be on my list. I don't need to hear about it. It's okay. But if it's on your list, perfectly fine. We here encourage everybody to enjoy the games that they enjoy. Mm-hmm. I will never tell you that Witcher 3 sucks, because I don't think it sucks. I just didn't enjoy it.
I'm in the same camp. It didn't grab me the way that some of these other games grabbed me, and that's okay. Like if one of these games didn't grab you, Witcher did, that's fine. Also on my list, I'm pretty sure you did the same thing as me. I did not include any games that were released on the 7th gen, then released on 8th gen. If they released at the same time, I'm fine with that. And I don't think I did any remasters as well. And you didn't either.
Cool. I was tempted to put The Last of Us remastered on there, but I left it off.
Last of Us, and so real quick shout outs, Last of Us remastered and Final Fantasy VII Remake. I almost put that on here, but I wanted to specifically talk about games that were fresh to this generation. When you look back at the generation, what are defining games in our opinion? You said yours are in no particular order. Mine have an order to them. Okay. So I guess we'll go in my order. We'll go off mine and then one of yours or something like that.
Sure.
Freestyle. Why not? Number 10 for me, and this was hard for me to even number, but Firewatch. Firewatch was one of the first games that I played, a walking simulator, as it were. And at first I wasn't digging it, but the more I played, the more I just really got immersed into the story in a style of game that I did not expect to get into, as well as a game that is more indie. It was really great. It still stays with me, in a game that I wouldn't mind going back and replaying. Great narrative on this one.
Yeah, and I'll start at the bottom of mine too. Like I said, these again, the only one that's in a particular order is number 1 for me. So I'll get to that, and I'm pretty sure me and Patrick are the same. But this game technically came out on PS3, but A Realm Reborn did launch on PS4 and then PC. So it started as a failed thing, and then Yoshi P, our Lord and Savior. Thank God you're on Final Fantasy 16, because Final Fantasy 14. It's on my list of greatest games of all time. It's probably a top 3 for me. I've sunk over 1,600 hours into this game. Wow. I do not play it so much anymore. I did recently go back to play a little bit, but the MMOs are just kind of hard to keep up with whenever you start the whole family game. So I have gotten out of it, but it got me through my late 20s whenever I was a kind of a broke guy. I moved out of my parents' house, had my 1-bedroom apartment, and literally didn't have money for playing all the new games all the time like I kind of do these days. I definitely am privileged these days, but back then I bought my Final Fantasy 14 on PS4 because that is all I could afford. I paid that that monthly sub a year in advance so I could play for $12 a month, and that was the only game I played. And the story is definitely one of the best stories in gaming. It's one of the best stories in Final Fantasy. It's hours and hours to get through. You will get your money's worth. But I adore this game, not only because of what it did for me, but just it's just so fun. I had such a good little community that I just had a good time with it. I never met any of these people in real life before, but we hung out 3 times a week to raid and do all this stuff. So had to bring this game, even though it technically came out on PS3. To me, it launched on PS4 and consumed, I don't know, 4 years of my life. So
yeah, I'll give you a pass on it. This is one that I played and I didn't really I don't feel like I scratched the surface. I played, I don't know, maybe 15 hours, but I don't think that I like got really far into it in regards to the story whatsoever.
Sure.
Still doing a lot of fetch quests at that point, but I completely get it. So my next one, number 9 on my list, Until Dawn. As you viewers and listeners of the show know, I love horror, and this game brought in the horror element and the branching storyline. Depending on what you do, the characters may or may not live, and they don't tell you whether or not you're going to get a prompt that will allow that character to live or die, because it's based on dialogue choices and other things. So similar to how, sorry, I should say more hidden than, like, say, a Mass Effect, where Mass Effect, it's like, if I keep choosing Paragon, I know I'm okay for XYZ. This game, it was hidden. Like, how you treated certain characters would point you in a certain direction, and then you may not get the choice to save somebody. I was first time I beat it, I think I only had one person die. Second time, I just wanted to see what would happen. I think I had like 4 people die. But that's what I appreciated, the horror element, but I also appreciated the fact that I played it again and got a very different outcome. Obviously, the story is similar in the direction that it goes. It didn't choose a different killer or something like that, but really enjoyed it. And to me, it pushed the boundaries of gaming, of what games can do within this generation.
Yeah, I never played it. I have it. I own it. I own it twice, actually. I think I own it physically and digitally because somebody gave it to me, and then it was on PS Plus later. So if you're one of those who regularly adds the PS Plus games, as you should, every first Tuesday of the month, you probably have it sitting in your backlog somewhere.
Probably.
I'm going to go to the walking simulator category, to a little game called Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Yeah. Again, this is a game, most of these games are, not most, half of them are like games that are just important to me. This was a game that I played with my wife. It was made by, I believe it's the Chinese Room that made this particular game, which, thank goodness, they're actually back. They went defunct for a little while. They were a part of Sony Santa Monica, and then now they have been like purchased, I think, or something, but they're back and working on a new game, so good for them. But this game, it's set in the 80s, and you are trying to figure out why everybody disappears from this town, and I'll leave it at that. If you're ever interested in picking it up, it's just a cool experience. It's a thing where, again, there's no things for you to do other than, like, you can tap on some stuff, but really you just walk around, which, whenever I say walking simulator, I'm not saying it in a derogatory way, by the way. I love walking sims. They're chill, they're great, and playing this one with my wife, she ended up enjoying it a lot. The soundtrack is really cool, a lot of good dialogue, good voice actors that they got for this game. Check it out sometime.
Yeah, it's a good one. For some reason, I didn't have the other one queued, so I'm going to skip one of mine real quick. But don't let that fool you. I don't know, the order doesn't matter as much. We're talking about games that are important. You know, the order. We'll call this one my number 8. Batman Arkham Knight. I've loved the Arkham games, and I feel like this game nailed it when it came to being Batman. You finally got to use the Batmobile. You finally got to explore all of, or most of, Arkham in a way that Arkham City only let you get to do a little bit.
Gotham City.
Sorry, Arkham City. Yeah, sorry.
Gotham City.
You get to explore Gotham City, in a way that you didn't get to quite explore it in the second game, Arkham City. I've loved all of these games, and I feel like this one was the best in my opinion because of the complete experience with the. I feel like Arkham Asylum is just under that when it comes to the story. Arkham Asylum is so good, but Arkham Knight bringing everything together I thought was great. Even if I didn't like some of the story choices in regards to some of the characters used, I feel like this was a sweet spot when it came to Batman games.
Bold.
Yeah.
I don't agree, but that's okay. That's why it's your list. I think it was a great Batman game. It was the story stuff and the tank thing that really kind of threw it off for me.
Yeah.
But you are right in terms of like getting to fully explore Gotham. Like that was a complete experience. I think that they kind of added on to what they did in Arkham City. I like it. I like a lot of things about it. And then, peak Batman combat is also good. Going on to my next one, I'm going to go into some more of my Japanese roots and go for some Gravity Rush.
I didn't get to play this one.
Yeah, so this game, again, I believe it came out on PS Plus at some point once it was remastered on the PS4. But Gravity Rush originally came out on Vita back in the day, and then they later remastered it for PS4. But you play as Kat, where she doesn't remember anything, and she just finds herself in this world, and she's got these cool gravity powers. Honestly, the story isn't as much about what makes this game cool. It's the gravity aspect. It's the way that you fly around. It's the super powered nature of everything. It's the way that they got the physics engine going in the game, where like when she creates her gravity field, it's picking up everything. You can even pick up people and throw things around. The story itself, it does have its cool moments. Gravity Rush 2 is not nearly as strong, I think, as the first one, even though it did add some cool extra powers. But I really loved the aesthetic of this game. I know the anime look isn't for everybody, and that's absolutely okay. But I definitely think, if anything, play it for how it controls, because it's a ton of fun. I don't suggest playing it on Vita, though. I actually suggest playing the remaster on PS4. It's a much more fun experience with the controller, because it does have motion controls for controlling Kat. And so when you're doing that with the Vita, you're losing your screen sometimes. Otherwise you have to follow your screen around. So I would play the remaster on PS4. If you don't have it on PS Plus, it's so regularly on sale for under $10.
Yeah. Pretty sure I have it on PS Plus, so I'll have to check that out. My number 7, my second favorite in the franchise, Fallout 4.
To New Vegas?
To New Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the game that Bethesda didn't make is my favorite. Obsidian just knocked it out of the park, but Fallout 4... the size, I mean, obviously the scope of a lot of games, we just dissed Witcher slightly about this, but the amount of activities that you could do and the organic way you would get into some of the activities I thought was amazing. I love the humor. Again, I like Fallout New Vegas better, but Fallout 4 was current gen graphics, where I feel like the other Fallout games were always a little lacking. And in this case, I thought that it was immersive enough. Also gave you a choice of male or female, which I appreciated. Still getting to play a game with an immense story that mattered to your character as well as the interactions, and that effect that could change or could not change depending on how you play the game. I appreciated that, giving that option where you still got a fully fledged story, which some developers in this generation said, oh, well, we couldn't do this because it would require retooling. No, just do it right the first time. The setup of the story is you're frozen, essentially cryogenically frozen, if you will, and your child is stolen while you're in cryo. So if you're the father or mother, it doesn't matter. It's your kid. like you're looking for your kid. So I thought that was a great tie-in, and it allowed that flexibility. Also, romancing, similar to Mass Effect, it doesn't matter male, female, whatever. Like you can romance pretty much everyone, which again, inclusion. So I liked all that, and plus the game is really fun too.
Yeah, you know that I've never been a huge Fallout guy, but I do intend whenever I get the series and have it on Game Pass. Thanks Microsoft for buying Bethesda for me, so that I can do that. I do intend to check it out at the very least, to give it a fair shake. I played. I want to say I played 4 for, I don't know, 10 minutes. It was just I wasn't in the mood, but I did like Outer Worlds a lot, so maybe I should just play New Vegas. Maybe they should put that on Xbox if they haven't already.
So good. It's backwards compatible. It's on 360, but it's backwards compatible. So yeah, it's good. It's worth it.
I'm gonna jump.
Okay.
I'm gonna jump one because it's on both of our lists, and I'm actually not sure if I put it in the document, but I'm not sure if you want to save the top 5 for next week. Just because you guys are used to our concise podcast. So
yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
So we've done 3 so far. So I got 2 more. So I'm gonna skip the one that I have at 7, and I'm gonna go to Detroit Become Human. This is what I kind of call an evolved walking simulator. Honestly, I find it to be pretty similar, except there is some action moments. You do have to do some button prompts and stuff. It's definitely more along the lines of Walking Dead and so on. So this one was made by Quantic Dream.
I believe it's Quantic Dream. This is one that I need to play.
It's great.
Yeah, I keep saying I need to pick this up. Or I need to check it out. I believe that I have it digitally, because I believe it came on PlayStation Plus, if I'm not mistaken. And it's one of those games. There's so many good games out there that I just haven't gotten around to. But with your recommendation, you need to bump up that list.
Yeah, it's got a really cool story of humans existing alongside very advanced AI. You play as several different people, as you do in the rest of the Quantic Dream games, which if you haven't played, they made Heavy Rain and they made Beyond Two Souls. So you play as some different characters in there, and playing that story of it's that age-old tale of AI has looked down upon humans, and then the AI seemingly revolts after having had it long enough. So the way that they did the mapping, the amount of branching paths that there are in this game is just ridiculous. In terms of the endings, there are a few different endings that you can get. Ultimately, it comes down to being peaceful or not, in a way, but like there's so much in between that it's really cool to see what you can do with the possible characters. Similar to what you were saying on Until Dawn, you don't know who's going to die, you don't know who's going to make it, and it all is based on dialogue choice. And
That's cool.
I got really hooked on those games this gen. I actually didn't include one on this list that I should have, so I might revise it by next week whenever we do the top 5. But Detroit, great game.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say what was your number 7 was my number 5. I guess we can just throw that in there right now.
Okay.
Instead of my number 6, we can end on this one, because either one are big and important to me. So I guess both of our number 6s, and ending the list for this week to continue next week, was Spider-Man on PS4. I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is one of my favorite heroes, and I think it's a hero that's easy to translate to a game like this, and I feel like they knocked it out of the park when it came to this version of Spider-Man. I've loved a lot of the Spider-Man games, but this one had I didn't feel at any point that any of the aspects of it were just tacked on to just be part of a video game. I felt like all of it was organic in regards to his powers. The web swinging and navigation in this was so fluid and natural. I absolutely love it, and that's why I pre-ordered the ultimate edition for Miles Morales, so I could get the remaster of this game on my PS5. It was that good that I'm like, yes, I will buy it again for, we'll call it $20, because that's
Insomniac, you should release it separately, just by the way.
they totally should, or as a DLC, pay X amount, will upgrade you to, if you have the PS4 version, cool, 10, $20, whatever, however much you want to charge. 20, I mean, to bring it to, I mean, because the game, the retexturing, in some cases, different actors, in regards to Spider-Man, Peter Parker. I can't wait to experience it again. I can't wait to play it again. It's that good. It's that great of an overall experience. And I may play the Miles version. I may play the Miles part, and then have Whitney play the Spider-Man, play the game proper, because she didn't get to play it, and I think she'd have a lot of fun with it, especially with the Mary Jane aspect as well. I thought was really cool, and their relationship I thought was really cool too.
Yeah, and I like the fact that we got a different enemy for once. Like, there is still your big Spider-Man bads that exist a lot. You still get your Shockers and your Rhino and so on, but they did a new enemy with Mr. Negative, which was really cool. I think that they did great by not doing the whole, like, origin story of Spider-Man. This is a seasoned Spider-Man. Let's just jump straight into New York. New York felt very alive. You could interact with people, not to a crazy extent, not like what we're talking about in the upcoming Cyberpunk or anything like that. But it's still enough for me to where it's not a dead city. Like, to me, it was the difference in everybody universally claimed, I think, Spider-Man 2 as like the greatest Spider-Man video game, and to me that was a thing that brought it over the top, not only because they brought it into current gen graphics and everything. They kept the swinging feeling awesome, but then they made New York alive. The fact that you could talk to people, the fact that there was that interaction, the stuff with J. Jonah Jameson and his podcast was awesome, and the fact that they made it a podcast versus like a radio show, like they brought that into it. The combat was so much fun. It's just such a great superhero game. Like, I don't want to bag on Avengers or anything like that, but in terms of not just making it a beat 'em up, like, there's combos, there's so many different ways that you can go about going through a scene of enemies. Scene's not the right word, but whenever you have your gaggle of enemies there, you can go about it different ways. You can go straight up and brawl them, or you could web sling around them. You could set bomb traps. You could, there's so many different cool things that you can do. It just felt, you feel like a superhero in this game, and it's just so much fun. It's such a great game.
Yeah, you really could tell that Sucker Punch knew.
Insomniac.
Insomniac. Why does it say Sucker Punch? Insomniac understood the character, understood what was needed from a storytelling standpoint as well as a gameplay standpoint. What makes Spider-Man tick? What do you need to tell this overall story, and how do you and to feel like you were that hero? It was so good. It could have been even higher up on my list. It was that good, but we'll call it number 6 for me, number 6 for both.
We'll call it number 1 of this week.
Sure, number 1 of this week. Next week we'll finish up our list as we like to talk about this. I mean, we said before, we could probably turn on the mic and just talk without any list or anything, and probably fill up an hour. So check in with us next week when we do exactly that, but have some things to prompt us of gaming news coming up, and our top 5. The next half of our top 10 list next week. Let us know what some of your favorite games are, and we'll give you a shout out on the show, and see how it ranked on ours. May or may not be on it. Maybe it's a spoiler. We'll find out. But anyways, thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you guys next time.